Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Dojo Live. Today is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. I'm Tulio Siragusa, broadcasting from Southern California. And joining me today for our first show of the week is Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico. Hi, Kim. Welcome to the show. I'm
Thank
Tulio Siragusa, broadcasting from Southern California. And we have... joining me today for echo. Are you guys hearing that too?
It must be the ambient noise. I'm guessing Cenk's speakers are picking it up. We'll let him figure that out in a second.
Yeah. Please turn that off. That's not going to work very well. So, and we have Cenk Sidar with us today, who's the CEO and co-founder of Enquire AI. What is happening?
We're gonna do a timeout.
So, and we have Cenk Sidar with us today, who's the CEO and co-founder of Enquire AI. Wow, that is so weird. Sorry, guys. If any of you guys are watching the stream, please turn it off. Otherwise, we'll get an echo. Wow, all right. That is so weird. Sorry, guys. That is so weird. If any of you guys are watching the stream, please turn it off. I'm hearing myself again. All right, so we're talking about Web 3.0. Let's see if it goes away. Let's hope it goes away. Before we do that, let's get to know our guest a little bit. Cenk Sidar. Woohoo, it ended. Okay, Cenk, it's coming from one of you guys. For some reason, it's getting the echo, but let's work it out and see if we can get into it. So Cenk Sidar is joining us from Washington, D.C. And let's get to know you a little bit before we go into the topic today. Cenk, if you could introduce yourself, that'd be great. So Cenk Sidar is joining us from Washington, D.C. And let's...
Hello.
There it goes.
There we go.
Okay, great. So thanks for having me. I think the problem is solved.
Yeah. Welcome to live shows. The nature of live shows.
You can't broadcast live and watch yourself on another screen. It doesn't work. You end up getting echoes. Weird. Okay, Cenk, tell us all about you. Let's get to know you. Let's kick it off.
No, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here. So yeah, my name is Cenk Sidar. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Enquire AI. I'm based here in Washington, D.C. I grew up in Istanbul, Turkey. Moved here for grad school when I was 22 years old to Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies to study international affairs and international economics. So I've been living in DC area for about 16 years. I have two boys, 8 and 6 years old, and my passion is basically technology, or the intersection of technology, business, media, and politics.
Interesting intersection.
Yeah, a lot of passions.
Let's talk about Enquire AI. We'd love to know what the company is all about, what gave birth to the company, what was like that haha moment. Let's do this. Please tell us a little bit more.
Sure, yeah. So basically, Enquire AI is a global expert network. We have 40,000 experts globally in 180 countries, and we have over 80 clients that using our services. What we do is we provide real-time insights to corporations who make investment or operational decisions. The way basically we built the platform is we connect supply and demand in knowledge on a real-time basis. You go to our platform, you ask any business policy or regulatory question, and within minutes you get real-time insights from vetted experts through your dashboard. And we are basically a solution combining human intelligence, data, and technology, and provide real-time, high quality, and vetted insights.
Very interesting. Let's see what we can learn. I'm also curious about the topic you've chosen today. Kim, please, let's kick it off.
Yeah, thank you, Cenk, for being here, and of course, Tulio for being with me again, as always. Today's topic.
I'm just happy the echo stopped, because I was like, if we have to do that for 30 minutes, I'm gonna need medication after that
one. I was really confused.
Yeah, great. So the topic is chosen by you today, Cenk, is Web 3.0 and the future of work. And how do you define the future of work in the Web 3.0 era? So everyone who's watches the show frequently knows that I'm not afraid to be the tech for dummies individual. So I'm going to ask you, what is meant by Web 3.0? And my guess is you're going to have to go backwards to 2.0, 1.0, etc. So tell us about that and why you chose today's topic.
Look, let's start with the future of work, because we will locate future of work within the context of Web3, right? So future of work concept is interesting subject and mostly misunderstood, especially within the context of technology. When you read articles today on the topic of future of work, you mostly read articles about how people use Zoom, how people use Slack, and how people can work remotely, and what kind of like technologies are being implemented. But there's a wrong way to look at it, because if you look at the history of technology, especially in direct messaging and video conferencing, those are not new technologies, right? I mean, there was Skype about 20 years ago, and I mean, I'm gonna reveal my age now, but I grew up using ICQ, IRC, and all this messaging, AOL, right? All these messaging applications. So those technologies existed. Those are not new technologies. Zoom is a better way, maybe connecting visually, and maybe Slack is more organized way communicating with your peers. But they're not solving the main problem of how to collaborate with your workforce when half of the people may be remotely working and half of the people may be in the office. What is the collaboration? What does collaboration mean? Does collaboration mean just messaging with these people, getting real-time updates? A lot of people are very complaining about how Slack and Zoom kind of creates 24/7 work culture, right? And is much more like a distraction than efficiency. It brings more distraction than efficiency in many cases. So if you look at the way those technologies change, the future of work technologies didn't really go hand in hand with the changes in our work culture. Of course, COVID was a major accelerator, right, in remote work, and kind of aligned with the future of work definition. But I want to stop here, because the most important thing about future of work is the future of work is more knowledge-driven work. When we talk about the future, we talk about potentially AI replacing jobs. And what jobs AI will replace? More manual jobs, more mundane tasks, right? But it will take much more time that AI will replace jobs that require sophistication or high level of knowledge, like management consultancy, investment banking, or lawyers, or producers. It requires much more like sophisticated way of looking at things. You need human element, managing the
We're
guests.
safe, Kim. Talk show host. The
Yeah,
AI
I mean,
replace
even technology is worse. It kind of creates more problems, right, with the eco and stuff. So, but you need human skills to intervene into this crisis and solve it. So, like the AI may not solve their problem when a similar thing happens. So, basically, future of work is more about the future of knowledge industries, how you collaborate in industries that require knowledge and sharing knowledge and collaborating on a real-time basis. And future is also very fast, right? I mean, we need those insights yesterday. We don't have time to wait anymore for a report to be published on a specific subject. When COVID hit, things happened so fast. Many businesses didn't have chances to take necessary measures against those risks. So future of work is very broad subject, but what I define is not only where you work, but how you work and how you collaborate and how we create a sense of teamwork, even though you don't live in the same spot. How you can collaborate with your colleagues in a different country and having the same kind of a coffee machine conversation that would give you like an aha moment to take your company to the next level. I would define future of work like that. If you take it to Web3, Web3 is Very interesting. Again, very like a broad definition. I think when something is being created, the definitions are very vague because no one knows what it is. It's changing every day. There's a new aspect of the definition comes in. But when we talk about Web3, I think the most important most important aspect is decentralization, right? So it's more decentralized. And again, the future work is decentralized as well. So we're talking about decentralized companies. No one is working in one spot. People are working in different places. And Web3, besides decentralization, it gives also ownership. And you came about the evolution from Web 1 to Web 3, right? The easiest explanation or the differences is Web 1 is the website you read and learn about, the restaurant that you want to go, and you look at the menu and you read it. Web 2 is you go to the website of the restaurant, but you read all the reviews and commentary, and you like that comments, and maybe you share your own comment, and you like it. But that website is owned by the restaurant. Web 3 is you read the menu, you maybe leave commentary, but for the participation in the website engagement, you get also ownership, because that is based on the chain or blockchain. So that website is a decentralized website. You interact, but also as you interact with that, platform, you also earn, maybe a piece of that platform. Think about Uber. Think about Airbnb. Airbnb is a Web2 company. There are hosts, there are guests, and there's a company regulating the interactions in the middle, right? But maybe the next Airbnb, actually there is one called dojolive. It's basically a platform that no one is a host, no one is a guest. You can be a host and guest at the same time, and there is no middleman, and all regulation happens, all interactions happen on the chain on a Web3 environment, and basically you pay your stay in tokens, and and next time you get paid in tokens, and when you host your house and get paid in tokens, maybe you can use those tokens next week to stay in someone else's house. It's basically collaboration, is decentralization, is ownership. It makes people more involved, more engaged, and creates peer-to-peer experiences for people in different industries.
Interesting. So the summary is information, Web 1, interaction, Web 2, ownership, Web 3.
Exactly.
Well, I have a slightly different view. I think Web 1.0 is publishers, one to many. Web 2.0, we turned into the publishers, and Web 3.0 is co-publishing, right? So, I mean, there's a number of ways to look at it. One was one way to many, then interactive, where we actually became the publishers. That's the power of social media, and getting that kind of power at the fingertip. And now it's all about collaborating, right? So speaking of collaborating, I see a nice big whiteboard behind you. There's some of us, call us old school, we like to do things on a whiteboard with people there interactively in the same room. Is that going to go away, you think, eventually? Or will the tools be such where it can be a hybrid, where you have some people there and some people remotely, or you have a combination of remote capabilities for bringing in experts, for example, where they don't have to travel all the way to your office or your conference to do a collaboration? What's the thinking there in terms of the immediate low-hanging fruit in more collaborative environments?
So that's a great question. I mean, I am a big fan of person-to-person interactions, especially if you're a young company. And I mean, you can use the young and small company very generously, like a company that you're building the culture, you're building the way you do business, you innovate, you strategize. You always need this, one-on-one interaction for motivation, for preventing isolation, and also maybe even mentoring. And young employees versus experienced employees, how they work together, how they learn from each other. And that's why I call Zoom and Slack, or I mean, I don't want to single them out, but or Teams or whatever, they are transitional technologies. They're not going to replace one-on-one interaction, right? It's not going to talking to someone with the Zoom doesn't give you the same sense that having same interaction in person. But I think the technology going towards a direction that there will be technologies that you may have the same feeling that you're working in front of the whiteboard with somebody, even that person is 5,000 miles away from you. So it takes us to the conversation about back to the conversation about the Web3's visual aspect, which is like the XR technologies, augmented reality and virtual reality, that may be solution to the problems of non-personal interactions in physical spaces. I give you an example, like Zoom is we talking to each other like that, but what if we basically meet in metaverse at a certain platform, and we have our own avatars, and we're sitting next to us, and I can even feel the effect when you hit the table, because you get mad at me for something I said, and I feel that vibration in my desk at the same time. So there will be technologies, haptics technology, the visual technology, XR technologies will create almost like the same personal physical experiences that we have in different places. Again, that is not going to fully, of course, like create the same experience, but it will be closer than writing somebody on a computer and looking at the screens all the time. We are not that far away from it. People don't realize that technology is always there. I mean, the VR sets of major companies, the Oculus is one of them, and the Microsoft HoloSense. So basically, those technologies already give those experiences. The question is, what kind of applications will help the members of this virtual enterprises to collaborate with each other? It's not always sitting next to each other or even in a virtual setting or a physical setting, but how I identify someone who knows about the subject within my virtual enterprise. There's a new type of organization. It's called decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs. DAOs are an important aspect of Web3 ecosystem. So we will see many more DAOs in coming years and coming months and years. They're already, if you go to Twitter and search for DAO, you will see a blockbuster DAO that is intending to acquire the company Blockbuster and create a fully Web3 version of the company, right? There is a DAO BNB that is creating a Airbnb version of it. It doesn't exist today, but maybe there is something DAO Ride or DAO Uber, and there will be Uber version of like Web3 version of Uber, that drivers will not be working for the company and getting paychecks from the Uber headquarters, but they will be earning a piece of the company every time they drive. So they will earn tokens. So they will have ownership of the token, or they will have the option of converting that token to US dollars or euros or Bitcoin or Ethereum and spend it, or they keep it and have ownership of the company they're part of. The amazing thing about it is more inclusive, is more collaborative, it's more engaging. You may drive more, you may do more rides, if you get paid more and more fairly, and you're part in kind of owning your own business and you're growing your own business, because DAOs are owned by its members. And as DAO grows, your token gets more value and you are building your personal wealth. It's a very interesting area, and I think many businesses will need to adapt to that world in coming days and months.
It's very interesting. I see that with blockchain, but there's also possibilities in non-blockchain to create co-owned realities like that. In fact, one of our co-founders, we started an initiative called radicalpurpose.org, and his latest books, he talks in his latest book, Radical Companies Without Bosses or Employees. This is Matt's book right here.
Shameless plug. Plug.
Well, it's very timely because he talks about co-ownership, and we've talked about it in great length about these ideas of these RADs, which are what you're talking about, tokens, but RADs are more traditional. monetary exchange where people can be co-owners of a company. So what you're suggesting is that the future isn't going to be defined by a bunch of companies getting together and founders who create something, but it's actually a collaborative effort by cooperatives in some cases of people with common interest who not only create something, but they invite those to participate as co-owners and co-participants. How's that going to be made possible with technologies like your company, Enquire AI?
Yeah. So before I answer the question, the reason that blockchain is an important aspect of it is because it removes the need for core regulator, right? Everything is on the chain, and everything is built on the proof of consensus model. So everything is basically approved by the members of the DAO on a real-time basis, or you have certain way of governance within this blockchain organizations. The minute that you remove the blockchain aspect, you rely on a main moderator or regulator that would centralize the power. So that's why decentralization is in line with the blockchain model. That's why it's a revolutionary technology. Enquire AI. So basically, if I answer your question from the collaboration perspective, if you own an organization and basically you are more motivated to be successful because you own it, right? It's human psychology. Like, it's one thing to work as an employee 9 to 5, but if you have a stake in the success, if you know that once the company gets successful, you will get more rewards. So collaboration.
The best way to motivate people to participate in the growth of your business is to make them co-owners of the business.
Exactly. So, and in typical models that, let's say, you have limited ownership or very limited ownership or no ownership, is a lot of competition within the company. You compete for higher positions. You compete for, it's kind of like a wild west in many large enterprises.
Right.
People, it's a throat cut business. You basically try to eliminate competition in many ways, and the collaboration is very limited. There are certain turf wars in large enterprises. Even if you know something that could help the other managing director at the investment banking side, you may not want to contribute to his or her success because that may be limiting your promotion opportunities in coming years. In the Web3 and the DAO model, the efficiency, so basically collaboration brings values for everybody. That's why it's more inclusive, more collaborative, because you're basically creating a value together. So it's in your interest to share your knowledge. Is your interest to collaborate in physical or in virtual spaces? My company, Enquire AI, started with becoming like external network of experts, right? So our initial product was, I'm a hedge fund manager. I need information, intelligence on Nigerian banking regulation. I go to a platform, ask a question in real time. I pay for the question, and in real time, in 30 minutes, I have 5 experts providing insights about the question, and they getting paid. It's a win-win. But we are in the middle of this interaction. Enquires in the middle of the interaction. So now, basically, we are working ways how we help internal teams to collaborate. Imagine you have thousands of employees, a large enterprise, even like a typical enterprise, right? Let's say major consulting firm with 250,000 global knowledge workers. How you create an ecosystem that one consultant in Singapore can ask a question about one subject, and another one in Argentina office could get the question. And I'm not talking about sending an email to thousands of people. I'm not posting on Slack. How do you identify who knows what within a real-time basis and pinpoint that person and extract insights so you become more knowledgeable and more informed about the subject, so you make a better decision? And take it from the typical organization and implement to Web3 organizations like decentralized autonomous organization, that people are everywhere. There are no titles. They are contributors, but everyone has some sort of like a specialization. And then you collaborate on the virtual space, or let's call it metaverse now, sexier definition. And basically you create a collaborative culture that would create kind of more efficiency and more value for the organization.
So it's like Tinder meets Quora in the workplace.
I mean, we don't have the dating aspect of it, but I would
in the
say,
sense of the matchmaking of knowing who's the best person.
I would do Quora plus LinkedIn maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So talking about this culture of collaboration, I mean, you're using your technology to help create that culture within many organizations. Aside from your technology, what is it that you and your team are doing at Enquire AI to have this sense of collaboration internally? What's the company culture like where you are?
Sure. Look, we are a small company. We have about 50 team members globally, but we are a very global organization. We have teams in DC, New York, Manila, Istanbul, New Delhi, Dubai, and we work almost on every time zone. We use all these transitional technologies, like I mentioned earlier, like Zoom, and we're not doing our metaverse meetings yet.
Why not?
But actually, yeah. Again, I think being smaller is kind of easier in that regard. So you always have one-on-one time. You can always pick up the phone and call somebody that you need to talk. I think it becomes more challenging if you go over 100 team members. We're not there yet. We're still small, but on the other hand, our culture is still very based on personal interaction. We opened our offices early days. We follow a lot of COVID regulation. Everyone is vaccinated. Everyone follows certain rules. We have masks, but we are at the office because we are a small, young, learning organization. And as Tulia mentioned, those whiteboard meetings or coffee machine meetings are very important to us because most of the time we solve problems, talking to each other and brainstorming about subjects that we didn't, do it. So there were times we were closed because of COVID regulations, like in DC and New York, fully closed. The office was not open, and I see immediate, decline in return of, investment, like a decline in efficiency, because basically, that's difficult to collaborate in virtual spaces. If you're established law firm, but your job is not to interact with your colleagues and you just basically sit in front of your computer and work all day, or you're an engineer, coder, that you don't need that much engagement, maybe that makes sense. But for organizations that require continuous innovation, agility, and pivoting to new ideas and creating new products, enhancing the platform. So you need one-on-one. So we are even though we are building the tools of the future, we are thinking about the collaboration in the spaces. We're strategizing about maybe buy or metaverse land to host expert client meetings because it makes sense. We are well positioned to be a leading player on this. So yeah, our culture is very personal, and we believe in innovation in person.
Yeah, and I think it's particularly important in a global company like yours, not just with company culture, but the individual cultures from where so many people are coming, right? U.S. culture versus the culture in Turkey. I imagine there's some drastic differences that you'd have to kind of overcome and understand about one another. And in person, I think it helps with that. Any insight as to how you, as a founder, how have you kind of overcome any of those perhaps cross-cultural differences, or how do you communicate clearly as a team when you come all from such diverse backgrounds?
Look, I think there's a lot of, I think I think maybe it's the globalization, maybe, or like a generation, X, Y, wherever they are. But I think there's a lot of customization of standardization of my generation. If you're late 30s, early 40s, you grew up in kind of the same, watching the same shows, playing the same video games, or using the same slang. I think that problem has been really solved last 20-25 years with the globalization. So we don't see that much difference. Exactly. The gaps are much smaller, and 25-year-old from India is not that different from 25-year-old from Nigeria, So of course there are some cultural differences, but those are not the differences that would prevent efficiency and collaboration at the company. Those are great things. Actually, the diversity helps us more to create more global solutions, because as a company, like, we are based in all these places as team members, but we also have clients in Sao Paulo, Dubai, London, New York, LA, Turkey, Russia. So like, we are a global company with global workforce and global clients. It's not at the scale that we are going to be in 2 years, but even today, in a microcosm of the global company, that we are very excited, and that global multiculturalism helped us to get to that point.
Love it. I'm glad to hear it.
Well, Cenk, we're up on time. It's been great to have you. I'm listening here and I'm thinking to myself, there's opportunity if you are a developer or real estate, commercial real estate, or even in construction, to change the dynamics of even like a conference room, right? You can equip the conference room with technology where you can 100%. Have collaborative and access, so people that are physically there and then people that are not physically there can chime in, and you can access to the experts as needed. I mean, there's so much that can happen that will change the physical landscape of an actual conference room, for example, by leveraging technology, which doesn't happen. I mean, the closest to that was years ago when we did video conferencing equipment. Right now we have everything like right here on our phones, right? But we wish you a lot of continued success, Cenk. Thanks for being with us. Stay with us as we go off the air in just a second. Kim, what do we got coming up for the rest of it? We have 3 more shows, right? We have tomorrow at noon, Thursday at 10, and at 12, right? What do we got coming up?
That's correct. So tomorrow's show will be with Karan Talari, CEO at First Resonance. That will be at noon Pacific. Agile hardware manufacturing, meeting this century's toughest challenges. And as you said, Tuesday is a double whammy, 10 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific, and that's going to be with Tom Livney, CEO and founder at Verbit, about transcription, a $30 billion industry thanks to AI. And wrapping up the week, we're going to be talking with Jonathan Bush, CEO at Zeus Health, 12 o'clock Pacific on Thursday, building a new platform for digital health. So see you then tomorrow.
I can't help but notice in the background there, you have like stuff hanging off the ceiling. The little toys that kids play when they're on the ground, like when they're 6 months old. Seems like the grown-up version of that back there. I don't know what that is.
It's their office. It's actually, I think it's an Iron Man hand protruding.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for being with us. Come back tomorrow at noon. Be safe.